And I've made this case before. MMA is the closest thing, is the best form of self-defense ever created because it has assimilated the best techniques from all arts. MMA is a laboratory for trying out techniques. It has eliminated many of the things in BJJ that we were taught, learned, and worked in a fight, but they don't. I'll give you an example. Knee on belly. Knee on belly is the most overrated position in history, in my opinion. I don't even know why they score points for it. It's not good control. The only way you're going to control someone knee on belly if you're heavier and more athletic. Someone of equal athletic ability, you're not going to be able to. Watch the UFC. When was the last time you saw a knee on belly?
No, I don't remember.
The reason for that, it's not a great position. There are other positions that are very important in real fight that are underplayed in martial arts. I'll give you an example. Turtle position. Most important position on the ground. I would rather be an expert at attacking turtle than an expert in guard. And there's this hyper focus on guard.
Oh, where they're like turn their heads in.
Because watch the UFC. That's the most common TKO position comes from that position because it's such a dominant position. It is more dominant than mount. Everyone's mount. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu has that thing, right? Mount. And I'm like, I don't think mount is that position in a fight. Watch the UFC. When was the last time you saw a KO begin in mount? Or a TKO for that matter, right? It's very rare. But how many TKOs do you see from turtle position? So my MMA fighters, I train them more oriented towards controlling the turtle position than fighting for mount, which I don't think is a great position for MMA, for example. So this martial arts practice has to be based on reality. And the UFC has been that because it has weeded out the bullshit. It has given us what actually works in a real fight. Elbows work, right? Clinching, wrestling, single leg, double, body lock, great. Back attack, rear naked choke, #1 submission of all time. Rear naked choke, back is king. Most important position, turtle to back. It's the #1 sequence to submission. In MMA, Jiu-Jitsu in the gi and Jiu-Jitsu no gi. What does that say? Like, this is the crux of what we're doing, man. And like people, it's not that we ignore it, but people don't focus on that for purposes of self-defense. But that would be where you would begin with an efficient self-defense system, starting with what has been proven to work consistently throughout history.
That's so amazing you mentioned this. Like one of the desperate or Hail Mary defense mechanism in judo, especially when they lose the grip fighting and their posture is all broken, is they drop down and they turtle.
Yeah.
So now there's way too many exercises to break the turtle. Like you can do a triangle from the turtle. But back attacks in judo are not very common because they're all interested in like reverse and pinning.
Yeah.
Like they just love to win with the pin. That's so amazing that you mentioned this because, for example, I'm against turtling because in a street fight you just get your head stomped, for example.
Horrible. Yeah. I think it is, and this is where judo has drifted too far away from the martial end of the spectrum. It has become too much of a sport because in a real fight, if you turtle up, we all saw what happened in Pride when you went to turtle position like that. You get soccer kicked, and in a real fight, you're going to get soccer kicked, right? It's that the UFC banned soccer kicks, so we don't see them anymore. But in a real fight, that's not a good position. You are better off in guard. I'll give you another example. You know why?
Yes.
You know why Damian Maia was so successful in MMA? I'll tell you why. I know Damian well. You know why? I'll tell you why. Because he lets people stand back up. You know why? Because everyone gives the back to stand back up, and I'm like, you idiots. That's all he wants. He doesn't want to pin you. Why would you want to be in mount or side control in a fight? They're horrible positions to finish and do damage from.
It's uncomfortable.
It's hard to do damage in side control. It's hard to do damage in mount. On the back, it's easier to do damage, and it's much easier to finish you. That's where the rear naked choke comes in. So if you watch Damian and the guys who actually played guard with them, they did okay. They didn't do that bad. They didn't expose their backs. The guys who try to stand back up with them on the fence, which is what every MMA fighter is taught, right? Use the fence to stand back up. It's like, you don't understand. With guys like Khabib and Damian, that's what they want.
Yeah.
They want trying to stand back up because that's exactly what they're, and I didn't fight that much. But my experience was the same. Like when I would take people down on the fence, I never tried to hold them down. I would let them stand back up so I can take the back because I would rather be there. That's where I want to be, is on the back. Right. So like little things that martial artists aren't, the martial arts in general have neglected, and MMA has single-handedly been the best thing for martial arts, I believe, because it has given us the it has given us the technical canon of what are the most efficient techniques in the world. And we're just missing the other half. We just got to get rid of show business to have that other half.
Stay true.
Yes, it's hard to do because money corrupts everything,
Yeah.
But like I would like to see the humility that I saw in the Kosen Judo schools in Japan, in MMA as well.
Yeah, like the press conference, and like they're just out clearly selling tickets with the press conference, the smack talking. Yeah. And the class after, like you sweep the class, how was it? Were you comfortable? How was the rolling, etc.? I'm very curious.
I deeply regret not taking a gi with me, and I know because the thing, it was such a rush. If I give you the Japan schedule wasn't that crazy. The Brazil schedule was insane, man. We were sleeping 4 hours a night for 2 weeks straight. It was insane. Like car, bus, train, luggage, equipment, up flight of stairs, down flight of stairs. Dude, it was madness. All right, Japan was a little bit easier, but it was still tight. And there's nowhere to shower. I mean, I don't know if there's – I wasn't invited, so I was there as a producer. I felt that would have been somewhat selfish to hold back the production in order to get some rounds in. There's a part of me that regrets it because I would have loved to have rolled with them. They were all very young kids, like 18, 19, 20, because they're in university, so they all would have to be that young, right? What was interesting is that a couple of them, they knew me from competition. They knew the jiu-jitsu competition scene well. And that's what I thought was so interesting is that once again, their humility of knowing that they had done it first, but they had no issues looking up to Brazilians like Leandro Lo. They had no issues admiring these guys, and those were their technical references because they knew who they were. I was blown away. I was shocked. But they would follow the BJJ scene because, as I see it, I'm sure they would agree, there are no major differences between Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Kosen Judo. I mean, what are realistically, what are the differences? Like you can barely see, maybe in the rules, how we emphasize this over that because of the rules. But in general terms, it's the same thing. So it's not surprising that I would, learn from a Kosen Judo book. It's funny because Leo Vieira, my coach, he had a Kosen Judo book, and he showed it to me. Those would have been like 2002, 2003. And I was shocked. I was like, what the hell is this? Like, they had some really cool chokes from side control that I had never seen before. I was blown away. And so, yeah, like you would learn. Like, it's a different experience, and, you can learn from it either way, like either end, either Kosen or BJJ. I'm sure that I would learn a lot had I spent some time training with them.
Yeah. Wow. You know what would be really interesting to see, in my opinion, that's one of the things that I think about when I'm like doing nothing. Every year